Hi everyone! We're breaking our traditional video essay format to let you know about our channel plans. It's been about 2 months since we posted our first video, and it's been amazing to see how this project has progressed. Even though it's a passion project, we still wanted to set up a solid plan for how we would roll out videos. There's a general production schedule we've been maintaining for several reasons. It helps keep up the momentum. With any passion project, since most of the deadlines and goals aren't determined by outside entities, we wanted to make sure we were consistent and didn't let our enthusiasm fizzle out. And if you know our videos, we lean heavily into a blend of creativity and evidence-based approaches to looking at media, which also applies to this project. And it takes time to get evidence to see how the project is faring. So we didn't want to post a video without any follow-up or plan for a new video, regardless of the first published video's traction. While developing the concept for the project, it included setting up a schedule that would model itself after the first video as a template. It was a beautiful lesson learned in how workshopping stories would proceed for some short-term goals. Lessons also came from looking at other popular channels and general vibes that permeates content creation for video essays on YouTube. This prompted the format you've seen for the past 2 months. 1 long-form video with 3 short videos per week. A production schedule for a passion project can lead to some crunch times, but the efforts yielded satisfying results. We had a list of what we would consider topical. So that's where we decided to have content on The Last of Us, the pilot analysis, and character studies for the Legend of Vox Machina and the Mandalorian. To keep the schedule timely, but also our own interest and creativity peaked, we also included evergreen content. Our evergreen content are videos that still cover storytelling elements and how we explain them through motion pictures and media, but aren't properties just released or premiering a launch. For our evergreen content, we had the first Zelda Wind Waker video, Sailor Moon, The Twilight Zone, and Hwayugi. It was interesting to see how much content might get lost in the noise, considering workshopping stories is a new channel. To provide still meaningful content, but without having to consistently crunch for workshopping stories long term, YouTube has given us some interesting data. By starting with The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, we had a rough idea of what we wanted to track, but we know we couldn't base long-term goals and plans off of 1 video launch. It also helped make the channel feel like we had targets, and by meeting those targets of publishing timely, we could get feedback. And due to the awesomeness that is Zelda, having it as the first video was motivation enough to then launch workshopping stories. Although it wasn't a huge hit to start, it's been seeing some momentum as the channel has grown. Our live-action Sailor Moon video helped with introducing viewers to the first video that was released, adapting The Wind Waker. We knew this might be an interesting pull. We'd possibly be interesting fans of dramas, but also fans of tokusatsu. What's even more fun is that Sailor Moon is such a beloved IP, with constant reiterations and adaptations. We'd always have something new and interesting that we could look at. When looking at the analytics, this particular video garnered most of its traffic from the browse feature of YouTube. We then dropped our first topical video, based on The Last of Us. This reached its apex between the 2-day to first week mark in terms of views. We anticipated this might happen due to the saturation of content being published about the show at the same time. Our most successful video so far is our character study on Percy in The Legend of Vox Machina. What's funny about it is it had sort of the opposite effect that we saw in The Last of Us. The video's views came from a multitude of traffic sources outside of just the browse feature of YouTube. Animation itself tends to have a different type of viewer engagement and interest, especially due to the unique nature of this animation being intended more for adult audiences. The Last of Us, yes, is also meant for adult audiences and is a video game adaptation, but it had very different backing and interest, thanks to HBO and the fact that the medium was live action. Our Twilight Zone video on the episode Judgement Night was a big swing. We know that older material has a very different quality and appeal. The expectations for what motion pictures are now are drastically different than what was common decades ago. But this is where the passion part of workshopping stories encouraged this video. It tied in with interesting storytelling concepts, as well as showcasing something different that may pleasantly surprise those unfamiliar with the Twilight Zone. This is another video that had more views from suggested videos. And we knew at this point it was helped by the fact that we had other videos up on the channel. Hwayugi was another evergreen video that we thought may perform the same as the Sailor Moon video. Fans of dramas in general are another unique audience to engage, due to its global reach and impact. Interestingly, it also seemed to benefit from a spike in viewership after the release of the Mandalorian episode. We knew that a catalog of content helps, but it was interesting to see it in motion. And finally, our most recent topical video was for the Mandalorian. Even though we didn't fully cover parts from the new season, we still wanted to see if we got the same effect as The Last of Us or The Legend of Vox Machina. Again, most of the traffic so far has been from the browse features on YouTube, but we're wondering if we'll see another spike due to the imminent release of The Last of Us' season finale. There were some big takeaways we've learned from our 2-month crunch. Videos released before the weekend may allow time for the algorithm to push the video up in recommendations and suggestions. Most of our videos see a spike in viewership 2 days after the initial release. We also found that shorts were getting higher views quicker than the videos themselves, which we were expecting. So that's what fortified our decision to maintain at least 3 shorts per full-length video. This data we've been analyzing since the release of the channel has supported our use of our production plan. However, what was fascinating was seeing how the videos would grow past the initial 2 to 7 days after being published. This aligned with our projections. We took the original idea for what the long-term approach would be for the channel and compressed it. What we ended up doing was for the sake of getting enough data back, to help validate or shift some of our long-term planning for the channel that initially felt like a sprint. Now, with some actionable data to start with, we can move from a sprint into more of a marathon approach. That plan will be to have 2 videos per month, with their shorts spaced out. This will help keep the crunch we currently have in our production level at a minimum, but we still want to keep it in a framework that is encouraging with accessible targets. We're excited to see what else we can do with this project and more. Thanks for keeping up with us.